Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Hotel de Luna, my reaction review sort of stuff. I'm filming this after I watched it, by the way, as you will see in a second with the either sync reaction, which you can head over to my Patreon to see it in full. As always, the link in the description, link in the pinned comment for that if you want to just see the full uncut sync reaction. But if you watch it on YouTube, of course, it's going to be the highlighted version and everything like that as well. So yeah, I'll obviously save my thoughts until after whichever reaction you're about to see. But I got, again, just like the first time, I got a bit of a smile on my face. So you might guess that I might have enjoyed it. I'm very intrigued on how that guy just disappeared. So obviously he was not allowed to go to the hotel because he's a bit of an ass.
전 제대로 타고 와.
Don't simp, Ross. I said it last time, right? Miss Jang.
호칭 똑바로 하라고 했지.
Those were incredible visual effects, by the way. The CGI, incredible.
건가?
Every outfit changes. Just anyway. You know when someone's on screen and they've got screen presence, and you just think, God, they're very watchable. Times that by 1,000, and that's kind of the effect that IU has on me. You know when you say to people, oh, that's your colour. That colour looks great on you. Every colour.
곧 여기 있는 책 다 읽으시겠어요.
wow.
마음껏
That's a nice coffee, by the way. Someone's done the art, the latte art and everything. Got 30 years of service, and that's what he gets, man.
몇십 년을 모시다가 아프다는데.
Exactly, my man.
아 뭐야? 무시한다도.
전 인간의 시간을 살러 가보겠습니다.
I love this show. Have I said that yet? I don't know. Who else is good with a sword in this show? Who's a badass with a sword in the show that we've seen so far? If Miss Jang turns up and there's a sword fight with this guy, new favorite show. New favorite show. Oh my god, man. Oh my god, man. Welcome back, folks. So, if you're curious, by the way, if you see me keep on looking down, I realized last time, I need the notes. So if you see me looking down and stuff like that, it's try to make myself a bit focused, because ADHD, my word. So yeah, that was episode 2. Episode 2 really, and I'm so glad it did this. It dived deeper into the hotel's world, and it starts showing you a bit more of the heart of the series through a few different characters, which I really enjoyed that aspect to it. But which we'll get into that. I'll get into the character section and everything. But talk about the plot overall. The use of the tiger. I thought the story around that thematically was excellent, and that's something I was very interested with. Episode 2 is like, obviously episode 1 is a setup, and it was an incredible setup into this world, into these characters, into the tone, into everything. And episode 2, I was curious, like, because I think it's 16 episodes, right? So it's 16 hours, give or take, this series is, this mini-series. I was like, what sort of thing are they going to do here? Is it going to be a bit like Monster of the Week, where it's tied into, like, an overall thing? I didn't know. But I loved what this did, is that with the story of the tiger haunting the city, it and how it all tied together at the end. It was this great thing for the episode itself, but it also it showed you the characters more, especially Miss Jiang, I would say, who, my word, well, I'll get into that, but it's becoming more and more layered and everything. But it definitely touched on the themes of like redemption and closure, especially with how the beautiful painting sequence ended with a tiger. You know, it's stuck. It's like, again, what a lot of this with this concept, how this show works, is like it's a lot of unfinished business, right, with the spirits and everything, which brought this like tragic nature to it. But like I said, this was a very moving episode, I would say, at the same time, very heartwarming. And the other thing as well, of course, is Manager No, his retirement in a lot of different ways, which I found very poignant, and I was actually a bit gutted, not just to see the end of the character, but I hope I'm pronouncing this gentleman's name correctly, but Chung Dong-hwan, instantly, as soon as I saw him in episode 1, I was like, oh god, he's just got one of those faces that's very warm. Like, I didn't look at him in the first episode and think, oh, this is the villain. Oh, this is going to be one of the villains. I would have been shocked if that was the case. But he just had this warmth to him, and that was instantly just by his look and everything. But the way that he played the character, the way that he spoke very softly while in control, I thought was such a lovely performance, not only in the first episode, but in particular with the second episode. And that plot line, which links, again, this is what this episode did beautifully, linking the different plot threads together to make, you know, themes, which is what great TV should do. I know it's a stream, but you see what I'm saying. But the way that his leaving affected characters in different ways, and what it did with Miss Jiang in particular, you know, and again, just peeling back the different layers of this phenomenal character that Miss Jiang is. That, you know, she appears cold, but we're starting to realize why she's cold, and she's cold maybe as a bit of a performance, and maybe a bit of as an appearance sort of thing, which I think is excellent and beautifully performed. But we'll get to her. Don't worry about that. We'll get to her. But yeah, Manjano, I thought he was a joy to watch. Very, like, one of those characters you easily see that's quite got a lot of wisdom and quite wise and everything. I loved his farewell scene with Miss Jiang. Even though there was quite a bit of dialogue in it, there was this beautiful non-verbal storytelling with the actors in the scene. And for me, I've always said this with acting in general, with screen acting, and stage too. If you can get something across without speaking, if you can just use body language without speaking, I think that takes a massive skill. And, you know, that's been all over this show so far. But in that scene in particular by the tree with Miss Jiang's goodbye to him, and again, how beautifully IU played that, where you can read everything on her face. It was not like these massive expressions or anything. And she was trying to hold back and keep that appearance. But you could see how much it was breaking her. Unbelievable acting, and I know I'm going to sound biased saying that, but I don't think it's a biased thing at this case, guys. I think she's, well, we'll get to her in a second. But yeah, I loved how the afterlife, we're getting more and more details about that. The bridge, you know, the car to the heavens, to the heavens, I can't remember. More and more of this world, which is such an interesting magical world, you know. That's the word that keeps on coming up, by the way, is that it's magical. It's got this charm to it, this show. It's again, I talked about the tone a lot in the first episode, and it's even more so here, how it balances from being like scary, being funny, whimsical. It's incredibly well done and incredibly well written as well. Talking about someone else is Chang Sung, again played by Hyo Jingu. Hope I'm saying the gentleman's name correctly, who obviously we saw in the first episode is kind of our eyes into the show. You know, he's the fish out of water, so to speak, and we're the fish out of water because we're coming across this world as well. But yeah, fantastic character, very much the audience's, like I said, surrogate, you know, and everything. He's the one that's kind of helping us navigate this again, magical world. And I don't know if I touched on it in the first episode, but I'll definitely touch on it here. The chemistry that he has with Miss Jang, the chemistry that he has with IU, every scene, like every scene in the show has been fantastic, to be honest, but every scene with those two and how their dynamic builds and how their dynamic shifts and how you can tell that she's normally completely in control of everything, but in this episode there's these great moments where you see that he is getting to her, he's getting under her skin, and you starting to see her facade break a little bit, and you're seeing the person under the surface. Really great fun to watch, and just great character development in general. But I love his performance. I don't know if I said, I think I may have mentioned it in the first episode, not too sure. His performance, he's got this great expressive face. His expressions when he's scared, you know, the way that he's scared, but when he's in control and he's talking, he's very much the heart of the show. In a lot of ways, I'd imagine that Miss Jang is also going to be that as we see more of her heart as we go along. But he's a great actor, this guy, and I love his performance in it. Speaking of Miss Jang, again, it sounds biased, I know, but it's because it's IU, and if you don't know, one of my old biases in K-pop. But it's, honestly, guys, I said it in the first episode, I'll say it again. I saw like her acting moments way before I watched the show, and I've been looking forward to seeing her in something, you know, where you see all of it as well, the whole show, the whole film, wherever it might be. And she is such a good actor, man. It's not fair in some ways that she's so multi-talented because of how amazing she is as a singer as well, but she's fantastic. Like, this is becoming one of my favorite characters that I've seen in the last few years in any medium, to be honest. Again, the layers that I talked about earlier, but it would be a great character on the page. It would be a great character in writing, but it's how she plays it with such subtlety and such control. It's an incredible performance, and I'm only 2 episodes in, and I know it sounds biased, but I don't think it is, guys. I'm sure you guys watching this, she may not be your old bias in K-pop, you know, you may not love her as much as I do when it comes to IU. I'm sure you'll agree she's fantastic in this show, and again, the character is written amazing, don't get me wrong, but you still have to perform that character, and she's playful, she's dangerous, she's vulnerable at times, and I love that we're seeing little glimpses of that more and more. She's captivating, and again, like I said in the first episode, it's not just because she's absolutely stunning. The subtlety, you know, like again, I said earlier about non-verbal storytelling. She's great with the dialogue. She's great with the non-verbal storytelling. The way she carries herself. I'm just so impressed. I'm so impressed, which I kind of thought I might be, but still incredible. So going back to the tiger a second, guys, because in the first episode I said one of my nitpicks was the visual effects, and that makes it sound like a negative, but if you saw in that first review I did, they work for the show, and I thought in the first episode they're obviously visual effects, but they work for the show. I still stick by that. I'm getting used to them even more, where it works and works and works. I have to say, the CGI on the tiger was insanely impressive. Like, I know TV for the last decade and a half has had a lot of budget put into it, right? You know, you get close to the 2010s, like late noughties. Shows started to get bigger budgets. Shows started to look a bit like films and everything like that, and it's got even more than that. But I was gobsmacked by how good and how impressive the CGI on the tiger was. Very, very good, and it played into the visual effects and the visual style of the world that we're seeing. Because again, they're good visual effects, but they're very tied to the show. If you took the visual effects in this show into something else, it might stick out more, but it works because, again, I keep on saying the word, how magical this show is. So yeah, the tone again, it's this dark humor, it's creepy, it's emotional, it's beautiful, it's whimsical, it's magic, it's addictive, and I'm glad I'm doing this thing of doing it weekly, because it makes me really, want to like crave to watch these episodes and everything. But the show is so good on how it's delivered that, you know, going into this episode, I wasn't like, okay, so what happened in the first episode? You know, I remembered everything because it's just every scene is fantastic. I think it's safe to say that already, I love this show. Already, it's even better than I was told, and I don't like things being overhyped, and it was hyped quite a bit. It's even better than I was told, and every week it's a treat. It's just like it was when I was checking out I Use Palette on my reaction channel. Every treat it's a week. Every week it's a treat. Everything comes together brilliantly, and I can't wait for episode 3. And I don't watch. If you saw my sync reactions, I don't watch next episodes. I like to go in blind, like I did for this episode, and I'm going to continue to do that. So yeah, that's it, guys. A beautiful episode tying all these different plot lines together, you know, with beautiful themes, beautiful visuals, visual storytelling, great dialogue, great writing, and you know, I just think about moments like the cafe when he's taking the coffee through all the ghosts, like such a creative sequence like that with the black and white. The music score, by the way, which I don't think I would have talked about loads in the first episode. Oh, so good. It's so good. There's a piece of music in this which I mentioned in the sync reaction. So if anybody watches the sync reaction and knows what I'm talking about at the time, because I got the timer going and stuff, you may be able to work it out. It's when they're in the cafe. There's a few cafes in this episode, where he's got you know, he leaves her. You know, Chan Sung leaves her at the table, and he definitely has the sort of upper hand in the dynamic in that way. The music in that scene in the background, it's so good. It's so good. So good. But anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Otherwise, I'm going to ramble. Bottom line, I am adoring this show. I can't wait for episode 3. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Just a reminder again that you can watch the full sync uncut reaction on my Patreon. Link in the description and in the pinned comments. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Take care. Much love.